Upon signing in, you need to head to your Tax Dues tab by clicking the Tax Dues tab on the left side of your dashboard. Scroll down into your income tax returns tax cards and look for the specific tax card that says Annual Income 1701 for calendar year 2021. Once you have located the tax card, you may click the File Now button so you may proceed with filing. If you will notice, this tax card shows the initial tax computation. If you already have records in your Taxumo account, at this moment, it is in zero value and will change if you input in the next steps. So upon clicking the File Now button, you will be directed to this pre-submission journey. Okay, first question, is your income subject to special or preferential income tax rate? If you have a certification from BIR stating that you may use special preferential tax rate, click yes. If you do not have a special preferential tax rate certification, kindly select no and then click proceed. Next, are you reporting any NALCO net operating loss carryover? If you have a net operating loss for the previous year supported with financial statements and the deductions were not offset in your gross income, kindly click yes. If you do not have net operating loss to declare, you may select no. Then click on proceed. Next is, did you receive any income from employment for the year you are reporting? You should have a 2316 if you did. If you had an employment in 2021 and you were given the form 2316 by your employer, kindly select yes. If you do not have, kindly select no. So since we are filing 1701, let us select yes and click on proceed. Alright, let us proceed to filing up the schedules. So click Get Started. For Schedule 1, we will be asking you for the name of your employer, employer's TIN, compensation income, and tax withheld. All of these details may be seen in the Form 2316 provided by your employer. Type in your employer's name, your employer's TIN, your compensation income, and taxes withheld from you by your employer. If you had 2 or more employers, you may simply click the plus button here to add a new line. Schedule 2, Taxable Compensation Income. If you're unsure on what to input here, we have a tooltip here that you may click on to check what you need to input in this field. So you need to check the Form 2316 provided by your employers and select which of this applies to you. Is it the January 2018 version or the July 2008 version? And then simply input the amount that is stated in the fields specified in this tooltip. Right. Then after adding the amount manually, click on proceed. Next is Schedule 3. Sales revenue, receipts, fees for the taxable year. This is the total sales of your business or profession for the year 2021. So you need to input manually how much is your income. Next, less sales returns, allowances, and discounts. This is the total value of sales returns which you refunded for those returned products or forfeited services, as well as the discounts given to the clients for product defects or service complaints. If you do not have a reportable sales returns, allowances, and discounts, input 0. Next, cost of sales or services. This is the total cost of materials and labor used to create a product or service. Direct labor, direct or raw materials, and overhead costs of a production facility or manufacturing plant are examples of cost of sales or services. Next field, other non-operating income. This is the total value of activities and materials that are not directly related to the core business operations. It includes dividend income, profits or losses from investments, gains or losses of foreign exchange, and asset write-downs. If you do not have a reportable other non-operating income, input 0. Last field, amount received or share in income by a partner from general professional partnership. This is the total value of your income from your profession if you are part of a general professional partnership. Once again, if you do not have a reportable share in income by a partner from GPP, leave the field 0. Once you're all good, you may click on Proceed. This is now Schedule 4, or Ordinary Allowable Itemized Deductions. For the field amortizations, this is the total amount of intangible assets that you pay by installment during the time that it is being used. If you do not have a reportable amortizations, kindly leave it 0. Bad debts. This is the total amount of customer credits and outstanding balances that are proven to be uncollectible. If you do not have a reportable bad debt, leave it 0. Charitable and other contributions. This is the total amount given as charitable contributions and other donations subject to conditions of deduction. If you do not have one, kindly leave it 0. Next field is depletion. This is the total amount of non-cash expense of an asset that has a gradually decreasing cost of value due to scheduled charges. If you do not have a reportable depletion, input 0. Next is entertainment, amusement, and recreation. This is the total amount spent on entertaining employees and partners that may have taken place during meetings and company outings. If there is none, kindly leave it 0 also. Scrolling further down, we have Fringe Benefits. Fringe Benefits is the total amount spent by employers for their employees, such as goods, services, and other benefits given as cash or in kind, like housing expense account, car, holiday, and vacation expenses. Interest is the total amount paid for the borrowed funds of a taxpayer to practice their profession or trade. Next is losses. This is the total amount of losses if the total expenses exceed total revenues. If you do not have reportable losses, kindly input 0. Pension trusts. This is the total income coming from the pension trust fund awarded by the employer to an employee. If there is none, leave it 0. Rental. This is the total amount of properly documented rental fees and expenses spent on the business operation. If you do not have reportable rental fees and expenses, manually input 0 in this field, or if you have entered data in your cash flow, this field will automatically be filled out by the system. Research and development is the total amount spent on research and development programs of your business. Salaries, wages, and allowances are the total amount of salaries, wages, and allowances given to declared and documented employees if you have one. If none, kindly input 0. SSS, GSIS, PhilHealth, HDMF, and other contributions. In this field, you must enter the total amount of the employer share for the government-mandated benefits of your employees. For individual taxpayers, this is your Social Security contributions. If you do not have reportable government-mandated benefits, kindly leave it zero. Taxes and licenses. This is the total amount of taxes and licenses fees that you paid for local permits like the municipal permit. If there is none, if you did not pay for any local permit in your LGUs, leave it zero. For transportation and travel, this is the amount spent on transportation and business-related travels. If none, once again, leave this zero. Others, deductions subject to withholding tax and other expenses. Janitorial and messengerial services. This is where you input the amount spent on janitorial cleaning and messengerial services. For professional fees, this is the total amount paid for hired professionals for a project or task in your business. Security services, this is the total amount paid for the security services of your business. While communications, lights, and water, this is where you input total amount spent on communications such as load and phone lines, as well as your electricity and water fees for your business, of course. For the miscellaneous field, this is the total amount spent on minor transactions that are so minimal, a specific category is not required for them. If there is none, leave it zero. For other services, this is the total amount of other expenses of your business that does not fall in any category. For all of the fields that you do not need to report anything, you may leave it zero. Once you're good with this part, you may click on proceed so that we may proceed with your annual ITR filing. Schedule 5 Special Allowable Itemized Deductions. If BIR has given you a certification for Special Allowable Itemized Deduction, you may input the description in this field, legal basis in this field, and full amount on this field. If there is none, just leave it zero and then click on proceed. Next is part 6, Summary of Income Tax Due. This field, share of other government agency. This is the total amount of your shares if you have agreed shares with a government agency. If there is none, leave this field zero. Part 7, Tax Credits or Payments. For prior year's excess credits, if you filed your annual ITR for the year 2020 and the tax due has credits or negative value, you may use these credits for the year 2021 filing. Kindly input the value here if you have a negative value or excess credit. If you do not have reportable excess credits from previous years, kindly input zero. Next is income tax payments for the first 3 quarters. If you have payments for the quarterly income tax filing for quarter 1, quarter 2, and quarter 3 for year 2021, kindly input here the all payments that you need. If there were no payments made for the past 3 quarters, kindly leave it zero. For the creditable tax withheld for the first 3 quarters, if you received a Form 2307 for the period of first quarter, January to March 2021, second quarter, April to June 2021, and third quarter, July to September for the year 2021, input the total amount in this field. If you do not have reportable tax withheld for previous quarters, kindly leave this field zero. This item is uneditable in the screen. You may input it in the tax withheld received to be able to submit a complete summary of a list of withheld taxes that is required by BIR as an attachment for your income tax filing. So to do so, go to your Withheld Tax tab and click Received tab. Next field, income tax paid in return previously filed if this is an amendment return. If you already filed the Form 1701 for the year 2021 and you need to file it again to change or add data, you may input the tax due paid here in this field. If you have no reportable previous payment, input 0. Next field, foreign tax credits, if applicable. If you have foreign tax credit certification for your income earned in countries that have tax treaty in the Philippines, you may input the amount of credits here. If there is none, once again, just leave it 0. Special tax credits. If you have certification for special tax credits from BIR, you may input the amount of credits here. If there is none, kindly leave it 0. For other tax credits or payments, this is where you input tax credits that were not assigned in other categories. If there are no other tax credits or payments that you need to report, kindly leave the field 0. For the creditable tax withheld for BIR 2307 for the fourth quarter, if you were able to receive a Form 2307 for the fourth quarter, which is from October to December of 2021, you may need to input it or encode to your withheld tax received tab. Once again, this field is uneditable, so you need to go to your withheld tax received tab to add a new record for your fourth quarter Form 2307 received. Once you're all good, you may click on Proceed button. Next is Part 9, Reconciliation of Net Income per Books against Taxable Income. First field, Net Income or Loss per Books. This is the declared value of total sales or revenue after total expenses are deducted. Other income, in this field, this is the value of other income declared on the first steps or screen. Partnerships. This is the value of income coming from partnerships declared in the first steps or screen that wherein you input the values manually. While other non-taxable income, this is the value of non-taxable income declared once again in the previous steps or screen. Special deductions. This is the value of special deductions that you declared also in the first steps or screen. While NOLCO here or net operating loss carryover, this is where you will see the value that you input or declared in the first steps or screen. Once you're good, click on Proceed. Next is your civil status. So please select your civil status. There are 4 choices: single, married, legally separated, or widower. Overpayment options. These are the choices that you may select: to be refunded, to be issued a tax credit certificate, or should you wish your overpayment option to be carried over as tax credit for your next quarter or next year filing. Next, choose how much to pay on your second installment if you wish to pay your income tax in 2 installments. This is an option for those individual taxpayers who are allowed to divide their tax due payment. They must pay a greater amount as an initial payment in April, and the remaining tax due shall be paid in October. You may choose 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%, or 40%. Then, click on Proceed. What you are seeing right now is a summary view of the form. So this is the name of the form, 1701 for the year 2021. And here, the system pulled out basic information that you input or encode in your Taxumo account settings. If you think that there are misspelled items here, such as your taxpayer's name or your registered address, you may simply go back to your Settings tab by clicking the Settings tab button on the left and edit the specific detail that you wish to correct. This summary view of the form is not editable. So you need to go back to your settings and edit the specific data that you wish to edit. If you're all good, let's scroll down to particulars. You may check your tax due. Tax due tab, this is the total computed amount of taxes to be paid for the year 2021 basing on the data that you entered on the first or previous screens. Next field is the less total tax credits payments. This is the total amount of tax credits declared in the preceding screen or steps. Tax payable overpayment. This is the total amount of tax payable or overpayment declared in the preceding screen, less portion of tax payable allowed for second installment to be paid on or before October 15. In this field, this is the percentage chosen as the second installment to be paid in October. Next field, total amount payable or overpayment. This is the amount of tax to be paid for this filing. If the amount is greater than 0, then that is the total amount of tax to be paid. If the value is 0, you do not have to pay anything after filing. If the amount has a negative sign like this one, this is an overpayment which is refundable or may be used as credits in the next income tax filing. Aggregate amount payable overpayment. This is the accumulated amount of tax to be paid for this filing. If the amount is greater than 0, then that is the actual amount of tax to be paid. If the value in this field is 0, you do not have to pay anything after filing. And if the amount has a negative sign like this one, this is an overpayment which is refundable or it may be used as credits in the next income tax filing. Let's scroll down to how you would like to file. Currently, we have 3 options that you may choose from. We have the prepare only filing option. If you wish us to prepare only your form, Taxumo will fill the draft of the tax form that you can try filing in the EBIR. This, though, has no total computation of categories and tax dues. Next filing option is prepare and file. In this option, Taxumo will compute and file your tax form to BIR. If you need to pay, you will be the one responsible for processing the tax to be paid in the accredited payment channels of BIR or your RDO. Last option, the prepare, file, and pay option. In this option, Taxumo will compute, file your taxes to the BIR, as well as process the tax payment with our payment channel. In this sample, the last filing option is grayed out because we do not have any tax payables. If this would happen to you, it is recommended that you select Prepare and File option and then click on Receipt.